Hi, I wanted to share some of the things I've been learning lately. This winter, I've been going through a fresh study of the Old Testament through one of my classes. The Old Testament can feel really hard to read, and that's understandable. So, shout out to any of you who are in those read the Bible in a year programs right now. It's probably in a kind of a rough patch. A lot of it is really foreign to us. These books were written thousands of years ago in what's called the ancient Near East. It was largely an agrarian society, lots of farmers and herders, only the beginnings of literacy. There are rules and regulations and plagues and curses, and how is this supposed to relate to us? Plenty of Christians over the centuries have mostly ignored the Old Testament, with some saying, incorrectly, that the God of the Old Testament is different from the God of the New Testament. But I want to share some of the things that I've been learning because I want you to see that God hasn't changed over the millennia. His plan for the world has always been to show his love for the world, to restore the broken, to bring people who have drifted far away from him back to knowing him and knowing how much he loves him. So, who is God according to the Old Testament? The very first words of the Bible say, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So God came first. He made everything we can see, and he called it all good. And then after making everything, he made humans, men and women in his image. He says that's very good. But the kids mess things up. They get some nasty consequences as a result. And that includes reduced access to God. They have to learn what it's like to live apart from him because they chose to ignore him. But God doesn't just leave and abandon them. He provides for them and he promises he's going to fix things. He's going to send a seed who will restore the relationship. It just takes a lot longer than anyone wants. So as people are learning to live apart from God, things get worse and worse and worse. And eventually, God begins to move on his promise. He calls a man, Abraham. He promises to bless him, to make his family into a great nation, and check this out, he promises that the whole world will be blessed through him. God later specifies that Abraham is supposed to teach his kids and grandkids what it means to follow God by doing what is right and just. So God keeps his promise. Abraham has a family. It becomes huge. They eventually move to Egypt to escape a famine. But then a later Egyptian pharaoh enslaves them, mistreats them horribly. But God says he sees them. He heard them. He feels their pain. So he tells Moses, go to Pharaoh, ask for their release. Pharaoh says no. God rescues them anyway. Check out The Prince of Egypt for a refresher if you haven't seen that in a while, and enjoy the music at the same time. So God saved them. He rescued them. They did absolutely nothing to deserve it. It was pure grace. Christians, does this sound familiar? Okay, so now they're free. They have to learn to live differently, not to earn their freedom, but because they have already been saved. God told them that He chose them, this ragtag group of grumbling, whiny, former slaves. He chose them to be His special treasure, to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. What does that mean? It means He's attaching His reputation to this people, now known as Israel. That means how they act will reflect back on him, and it's going to influence his reputation to the world. So he gives them these laws that are just and wise and clear, and they have a preference for making sure people are taken care of. In this ancient world, it was a huge blessing. Most ancient societies had to do a lot of guesswork about what they thought their gods wanted, and here God's giving them clear instructions about what he's expecting. By living in a different way from the other people around them, this group of chosen people are going to show the world what it looks like to follow God. And because of that, the world will learn about this God who made them and loves them. Being a kingdom of priests also meant that just like an individual priest is held to a higher standard because they serve as the go-between people and God, the people of Israel now have that higher standard to follow. And they also had the responsibility of serving as a go-between for people and God, bringing people's requests to God and sharing information about God to people. Finally, God also declares to this people that he's going to come live with them. They're living in tents in the desert. He's going to come live in that special tent right in the middle with them. This, required regular purification, though, through sacrificed animals was how they purified things then, to make sure their mess didn't contaminate the space reserved for a perfectly clean, holy God. But now his chosen people had access to the God who created the whole world, who saved them when they didn't deserve it, and who wanted to hear from them and be with them. Have you caught any parallels here yet? If not, I'll give you a spoiler. This applies directly to the church today. Peter, one of Jesus' besties, denied knowing him when push came to shove. Peter went on to declare that Jesus was killed violently and horrifically by one of the most efficient killing machines in human history, the Roman Empire. Then Peter went to his own violent death, proclaiming that Jesus was not dead, but came back to life, that God had chosen to save a people all over again. He'd come to live with people, just like God lived with Israel in a tent. Now the Spirit showed up at Pentecost and lives with people now. Peter wrote a letter saying anyone who believes that Jesus is the King is now part of a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. It's a direct quotation of God's words to his newly saved people, Israel, back in the desert. So what does this mean? It means that just like Israel, we who choose to follow God have been saved, not because we're extra special, but just because he loves us and wants us to be free from slavery. It means that just like Israel, he has chosen us to represent him. It means just like Israel, we should live differently than the people around us, as a way of showing the world what God's ways look like, not to earn grace, but as a result of grace. It means just like Israel, we are all priests. We should be bringing people's needs to God and teaching people about God while being held to a higher standard. And just like Israel, we have the incredible privilege of direct access to God because Jesus, the great high priest, who completely empathized with us in every way, gave his own blood to purify the sacred space forever. Check out Hebrews. Incredible book about this. So now we can all come directly to God, not because of the good things we've done, but despite all of the times that we've gone against God's ways. And we can experience freedom from slavery too. So today, where are you in this story? Are you feeling trapped and enslaved by the world we live in, by the structures and the systems and the powers that use people and spit them out when they're not useful anymore? Or by that habit that you just can't shake no matter how many times you've tried? Or by all your attempts to reach God by checking the boxes and doing everything right and learning all the doctrine, but never being certain if you've done enough? Please hear. God sees you. God hears you. God feels for you. And he's come to pull you out and give you a new way to live if you trust him and follow him. Maybe you're feeling worn down. You know you've been saved by grace, but you still feel like you have to do everything in your power to stay close to God, and it's exhausting. Guilty sometimes. Hear Jesus' words. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. You will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Perhaps you're feeling free and light and overflowing with joy and peace and freedom. Praise God. It's worth asking yourself, how can I serve as a priest in my life? God is our great high priest, or Jesus is our great high priest to God, but I'm part of Jesus' body. I'm part of how he interacts with the world today, and so are you. So am I hearing people's needs so I can bring them to God in prayer? Am I living differently so people can see God's goodness and love through my life? Am I spreading the news of God's love? Am I teaching people God's ways? Wherever you are today, know that there is a God who made you, who loves you. He has good plans for you. He's worth knowing for yourself, and he's worth following wherever he ends up leading you. Till next time.